I'll just be a second. So this bill is on our private YouTube channel.
Okay, I have to, all right. Yeah, I just wanted to check my
I'll just be a
screen to make
second.
sure it's right. How can I do that?
So this bill is on our private.
Yeah, that's okay. No, I'm just wondering about, I wanted to check my screen, but I guess I'll fix it when I fix it in the mix. It'll be all right.
Did I stop sharing? I did, eh?
No, it just says this meeting is being live streamed.
Okay. So now I guess, okay, it's 3 on the dot. So I guess we'll go. I'll start.
Now give me a signal, Anne, when I can start.
Okay, Jan.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, perhaps even good night, wherever you are, somewhere on the globe. Welcome to the first IAA year-end worldwide festivity. My name is Carr, and for 2021, I'm the president of the IAA. Only a few weeks left before you will have a new president. It has been an extraordinary year, again, with virtual work, virtual learning, virtual shopping, and now is the time to finish 2021 with a virtual celebration. Personally, I had a slightly different expectation when I applied for the role in 2019. In 2020, like many of you, my world shrunk to the size of my computer screen, 13.3 inch in my situation. We all had to deal with those new challenges, but it was fantastic to notice how agile our organization is. And thanks to technology, the entrepreneurial spirit of our secretariat and the never-ending passion of our volunteers, we have been able to get through these interesting times and without any disturbance to continue to deliver on our mission. And with new initiatives like Espresso Yourself, the virtual interviews for the International Actuary Day, and many other initiatives, we even were able to accelerate our ambition of involving a new generation of actuaries in our activities. It is so good to see how strong this community is, and it feels so good to be part of it. You can imagine that it really has been an honor for me to serve as your president last year. And don't forget, also a lot of fun in the close cooperation with the Secretariat, my fellow officers, and all volunteers in committees, forums, and whatever. And as a non-native English-speaking president, you can imagine that sometimes you get into a situation of, let's call it, lost in translation. We certainly laughed a lot last year. I really love this global, diverse and inclusive organization. And of course, there's room for further improvement. And therefore, I encourage also the unusual suspects among us to apply for leadership roles to strengthen our global character. And next year, we will have a new president, at least, assuming you will be able to release her today. And I will chair the Strategic Planning Committee as immediate past president, working on our 5-year strategic plan to realize our dreams. Imagine a situation where we constantly will be invited by our key supranationals to contribute to topics of global importance, where our member associations love to be part of our organization because they experience how much more they can realize than on their own. And where individual actuaries realize how great it is to be part of a global community and massively want to participate in our frequent events. And where the materials we produce will be optimally leveraged throughout all our activities and also will be used in the several education programs globally, where we constantly will stay ahead of the curve and our profession steps into new areas of business and our education programs will get overloaded with new students because risk will be hot and our profession will be seen as the best to deal with it. Can you imagine a situation like that? I can. Contributing to make this happen will be fun in whatever role we will be, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm really proud to be an actuary. And now, according to my script, I need to turn it over to Roseanne Harris, our new president for 2022, somewhere in a Spanish elevator. Roseanne, all up to you.
Thanks, Jan, and I'm loving seeing all the cheerful hats and the party mood amongst the party goers here around the world, and I can't wait to get out there into the world from my trapped elevator position right now. And when I do, I've got big plans for 2022, lots to do, and big shoes to fill. Tanya and Jan have really bedded down our renewal as the IAA, and now we can step into to really making a difference in the world in terms of what the actuarial profession can do and bring to some of the big challenges that we're facing as a globe at the moment. So of course, the post-pandemic, hopefully we move into a post-pandemic world, and we're going to be making a big contribution as a profession to understanding the risks and shaping the future. And speaking of that, we'll be building on also the work on climate risk that Micheline has been leading to date, and really looking forward to seeing the impact of that work on our supranationals. And then the SPC has been doing some amazing planning work in terms of building our 5-year strategic plan. And I'm looking forward to working with the executive committee in terms of putting together the work plan for getting that done over the next 5 years. So we all know where we're going and we're pulling together in the same direction. But of course, the most exciting part about this role is working with all of you, with the volunteers around the world on the committees and the forums and the sections. And really looking forward to chatting and engaging with all of you over the next year. That's of course given that I get out of my small space right now and get to be with you all very soon. So we've really enjoyed having our hybrid event in Madrid. I hope you got to see it, and some of you online, I can see we're actually here as well, and I'm really pleased that managed to work out. But hopefully we will actually get to see each other face to face, as well as to continue the online engagements, because I must say one of the happy side effects of this whole pandemic crisis has been that we've been able to reach a much more diverse membership base of actuaries around the world. So I really hope that we're going to see that continuing into the future. So thanks so much, Jan. Thank you for the leadership in 2021, and I look forward to following on from you, and still having you as my mentor in 2022. Back to you.
Thank you, Roseanne. Now, it sounds great if you call me a kind of mentor to you. I don't feel it like that, but certainly our cooperation will be successful in the next year. I'm sure of that, together with Micheline, of course. And now it's time for some reflection on our last year. And we invited a special guest for this part, namely Bill Carr. Bill Carr is well known as a multimedia artist, an actor, a humorist, a writer, a motivational speaker, and a filmmaker. For over 25 years, Bill has been making people laugh at what's trivial while helping them think deeply about what counts. Bill helps people see their worlds in new and exciting ways. Bill's unique blend of humor and insight inspires laughter and consideration, offering his audience a fresh perspective and what they face every day. He mentioned to me he does anything for a buck, and at the same time he is a happy taxpayer. But more important, he's a co-founder of ARC, the Atlantic Restorative Company, a social entrepreneurship which works to integrate restorative practices into every aspect of family, business, and community. At the root of ARC's work is the desire to create space for authentic human exchange. It's a mouthful, so you make me curious, Bill. Surprise us.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna share my screen, and I hope that works, but just it's not working suddenly. There it is. There we go. The thing that I want to mention something before I get into the whole what I'm going to be talking about, and that is, it was so interesting to talk to Jan and that crew that I got to speak to about what you do and how you're doing it and what you've been doing this year, and it was particularly illuminating because I have a friend who's an actuary, which means I have all sorts of math cred because I have a friend who's an actuary, so I know, But we were friends because he liked single malt Scotch and so did I. But I took him to, I've never forgotten this. We were at an event. This is where I met him. We were at an event, and in joining the event, there was a casino that was next door to where the conference was being held. Remember when we used to hold conferences in buildings? Anyway, we went over, and we walked into the casino, and he proceeded to explain to me all of the percentages, etc., and the potentials, and what could happen with the roulette. I finally gave him 3 scotches and told him to shut up. But we still remained friends after that because he absolutely ruined my casino experience. I haven't been back to the casino since because I realized I don't understand it. You folks do. I never will, and so that's good. Also, I'm going to, before I'm not even started yet. I just want to mention something else. Jan, I'm curious. You mentioned that you had an exciting work here, but I don't know how. I don't know how Jan managed to do anything. I mean, he's currently a licensed domotics engineer, which, by the way, I tried to look up domotics engineer, and it has something to do with demonology. There's something to do with rare and strange devils. I think that's what it's about, but I may have gotten the wrong website. I don't know. But a fully qualified actuary, gotcha. That's you're supposed to be. But then a licensed truck driver. See, an automatic link. No, that's madness. But the man is the man, and he delivers goods. But he's a truck driver, an official domotics guy. He's qualified to do it at home. My problem, I guess my problem is, it's a good thing that you have a granddaughter. I'm going to explain this to you about, because only a granddaughter can keep you rooted. You obviously have, achievement issues. So now that you've got a granddaughter, she'll focus you in and keep you centered and grounded. So I was really pleased to hear what you did and why you do it. And I can only imagine what you're going to contribute over the next year, because now that you're free to just contribute, that'll be even more fun for you. This is my company. ARC is my company, and I was really excited to be talking to you, because also this is what was sent to me. This is what I was told. This year, particularly, you folks have been involved with diversity and inclusion, climate risk, pandemics, data analytics, and working with banking issues. And I thought, wow, this is like a recipe for what I'm interested in, and our company is interested in terms of especially diversity and inclusion, but also the ideas of how to think around climate risk and how to think about pandemics. A lot of what I'm going to talk about in the next little while, I've got a very short while, so I've got to speed up and talk quickly. But a lot of what I'm going to talk about, you folks are already deeply involved with, and I find that really exciting. I have a podcast called Shift for Brains. Say it fast. And the reason that I like my podcast, and I've been away from it for a while, but I'm getting back to it. But what it was about is the idea of how we see the world, and taking that perspective and shifting it. And I love the fact that that's what actuaries do for a living. You actually help people shift their focus, get a higher end view, take a different look. This pandemic that we've been going through, which has been quite wonderful, has a whole lot going on. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. But the idea of what you folks brought and bring and will continue to bring to the table in terms of shifting brains, in terms of having people see things more long-term, more long range, more high level. That's an extremely important thing to happen, especially when people are in crisis, as they've been for the last little while. I'm in Nova Scotia, and we are in unceded Mi'kmaq territory, and I'm very proud to be here. I'm a settler in Mi'kmaq territory, and my friend Billy Lewis is a dear friend, and Billy Lewis said something once when I was interviewing about restorative practices, and my camera person said, "Wow, that was a very revolutionary thing he just said." And I thought, I didn't hear anything particularly revolutionary. What did he say? And we looked back and quoted it, and this is what he said. He said, "Sometimes we have to open ourselves to question whether the ways we've always dealt with things are good enough." And what I love about it is, it's not a condemnation of the way we've looked at things. It's just saying, is it good enough? Are there better ways? And I was thinking, this is not a bad little mantra for actuaries, because that's what you do all the time. As the world shifts, as the economy shifts, as the ecology shifts, you folks get to look at that and say, all right, now let's move. Now let's move with it. Now let's move ahead of it. Now let's anticipate in a way that can't be done by a whole lot of others, because they get very caught up. Now, I just want to mention how the pandemic has affected people. I was looking for my phone the other day and I couldn't find it. And if you're anything like me, you have to have my phone. And I went down to the office, and I went downstairs. I went out to the car. I thought I might have left it in the car, and I went out in the back deck, and I looked everywhere else, and then it rang. And it was right here in my little hand. And I thought, oh my dear. And I decided this was the effect of the pandemic. It's not aging. It's the effect of the pandemic, you see. And it's made us all a little bit foggy and a little bit so. But what I like about it is it's caused me to be more, rather than humiliated, it's helped me to become more humble about where I am and what I'm doing. This world is changing so radically and so quickly. This picture is a picture that my Lynn Johnson did the For Better or Worse cartoons. Those of you who aren't from Canada may not know about this cartoon set, but it was in papers all over the world. And she drew this for us because we were doing a show called Old Charlie Farquharson's Testament Magic Lantern Show. And this was allegedly what the earth looked like before God destroyed it with a flood. And I loved it so much, I took it home and it's up on my wall. And I call it Tuesday, okay? Because that's just about how it feels every day. And this pandemic, now you notice this is a pre-pandemic illustration. See, there's not a mask to be found anywhere there. There's not a mask in the whole bunch. If this was now, there'd be all these little blankies all over it. But that is how everybody kind of feels. And I think the pandemic, and I call it the pandemic correction, I think the pandemic has corrected us into an understanding of just how interconnected we really are. And one of the things that I like about what actuaries do is actuaries know that we do have a very interconnected world. Our economies are not bounded by borders at all, but are in fact, it's a moving target all the time. And the idea of starting to understand our world in that way has become critical during the pandemic. And you folks already have a mindset that works that way. And that is invaluable for what's coming up over the next few years, especially as we move into climate change. Climate change is challenging us on so many levels, and it has a huge economic, as you know, component. But if we don't see it properly, we're not going to be able to deal with it properly. There's an expression here in the Maritimes that sometimes there's two expressions that get confused, and they mean something very different. One is to jury rig, and the other is to jerry built. To jury rig means to run into a situation where the machinery that you have and the equipment that you're using needs to be reconfigured in order to face a crisis or face a time of challenge. Jerry built means you take whatever you got, throw it on in the soup and hope it works. Jerry built is not what we want to do, but we do need to jury rig, and we need to do it quite often, and we need to do it skillfully. And again, it's where actuaries can come into play, because those large systems need to be reconfigured. They need to be reworked. They need to be modified for a short term sometimes and modified for a long term others. And the fact that you folks do that instinctively is incredibly necessary right now. And I celebrate what you're trying to do and how you're trying to do it. And the fact that this is an international organization makes it even more magnificent, because that's what it's going to take. We can't be stuck behind our borders doing our work. It's not going to work. We're too interconnected. In the theater where I was raised, I was told that a character, a human character, was based on what they said and what they did. And you'd study what they said and study what they did, and then you'd start to understand them. But I realized really early on that it's slightly more complex than that. And when you step back and take a bigger picture, one of the things you see is it's how they see the world, because how they see the world determines how they think and feel, and how they think and feel determines how they act. And then their actions determine your destiny. And I love that, because if you flip it around, it works the other way. If you don't like where you are today, take a look at what you were doing yesterday. And why did you do it? Because of how you thought and felt. And why did you think and feel that way? And by the way, you feel before you think, just so you'll know, and then you feel again. But it's based back on how you see the world. And again, one of the things I love about actuaries is how you see the world, and how you see potentials, and how you think and feel about those things, and then the actions that you recommend and the actions that you bring forward. And that's why the banking system, and I'm going to pick on the banks for a minute. The banking system cannot take advantage of you enough. Banking systems are very immediate. They're very legislated inside. It's very parochial. Actuaries can bring a bigger picture to it, to say, yes, but what are the broader implications? It's not about it's not about what's happening right now. It's about trends. It's about issues. It's about movement forward. It's about growth. It's about pandemics and climate change. It's about catastrophes that can happen. How do we integrate that into a banking system that makes it more livable for other human beings? And that's what you folks are working on all the time, and it's quite spectacular. One of the ways the things that I love, the Greeks 3,000 years ago invented this word. If you don't get anything else out of the rest of what I said today, you don't get anything else out of the rest of what I said, hold on to this one word. It's epoche, and it means pause, step back, breathe, and ask yourself, what am I really looking at here? Now, they invented it 3,000 years ago because the world was moving too fast, right? I get an image of these Greeks in their togas on chariots whipping down the highway and going, oh, the Huns are coming, I don't know what to do. Blah, blah, blah. And they couldn't take a vacation. They couldn't take 3 weeks off. But what they could do, and they learned it really quickly, is they could stop, take a deep breath, and make sure that what they're seeing is really what they're seeing, or what they're looking at is really what they're seeing. Now, I'm going to challenge you right now. Just do it with me. Take a deep breath. Hold your breath and let it go. All right. Now, if you didn't do it, ask yourself why. Okay. But because you're taking this thing with me, you might as well do these things with me. I wouldn't hurt you for the world. But the thing about taking a deep breath is it actually tells you that you're safe. Right now, and the way they say this is because if a tiger were to walk in the room right now and you were to look over and see a tiger, none of you would go, all right, no, your breath shortens, the skin galvanizes, you start to sweat and you freak out and you grab the person sitting next to you, throw them in front of the tiger and you get out of there. That's what you do. But the beautiful thing is when you pause and take a deep breath, you actually shift the chemicals in your brain and you go from adrenaline and cortisol to endorphins, and it softens the way you see. And you feel more easily and you see more clearly, and more of your brain gets integrated, because when you get panicked, when you're under stress, right? When you're under stress, your prefrontal cortex shut down. That's the human part of the brain. I'm going to get more to that in a minute, but I just want to mention that when in doubt, take a deep breath. Just one solid deep breath, breathe out and say, what's really going on? What am I really looking at? Okay. There are two brain systems, and I learned this from a guy. The beautiful thing about the pandemic is I've gotten the chance to study psychology and neuroscience like mad for a whole year. It's been wonderful. And one of the things they talk about a lot is system 1 and system 2 thinking, or hot and cold thinking. I like hot and cold because it's easier to remember. Hot and cold thinking. Hot thinking is fast. It's emotional. It's from the gut. By the way, we have cognitive ease when we do it. It's like, I got it. I know what to do. It's instinctive. I'm going to go this way. Turns out, statistically, you're wrong 72% of the time. Okay. It might feel good, but it doesn't work very well. Now, system 2 thinking is cold thinking. It's slower. It's logical. It's rational. reasonable. It says, what are the implications? What am I looking at here? What's going on? Now, do I need to tell you? Actuaries are naturally cold thinkers. They naturally go, wait a minute, pause, step back, breathe. Let's take a look at this and see what we're really looking at here. And that cognitive coherence, because you see patterns and you see issues that move together and blend together that hot thinkers can't see because they're too intense, too at it. But cold thinkers can step back and have a better look. You're still wrong sometimes, but you're wrong less often. And also you often see your way out of it from there. There's a critical knowledge, I always call it, know yourself, right? Which is Socrates' famous phrase, but I always say, know thine audience, all right? One of the things that you're doing as actuaries this year and going to be doing moving forward is having your audience, having people that you talk to, having the community, the banking community, and everyone else understand the absolutely critical role that you folks need to play in our movement going forward. There's a thing that we do in restorative practices, which is check in and check out. And I think this is a really important thing to do when we're under stress. And this COVID has caused everybody a whole lot of stress. I don't know where Omicron is in your world, but it's entered our world and it's thrown us back into a bit of a panic, not as much as the last time, but still. And one of the things that we do with restorative practice is when you sit down with somebody, you say, how are you? All right. Now, as I say that, I'll tell you right now, Canadians lie. If you're talking to a Canadian, I'm going to tell you right now, you say, how are you? First thing a Canadian does is say, I'm fine. It's instinctive. Oh, I'm good. Oh, I'm fine. I'm good. Right. Doesn't matter. Could be the arm could be hanging off and bleeding down the side. And you say, you're bleeding on your arm. They say, yeah, no, I'm fine. Don't worry about that. It's because we don't want to bother you. We don't want to upset you. But when you check in with somebody, to check in and see how they really are, how are you really doing? I mean, I imagine when you folks switched from the Netherlands to Madrid in that quick time, actually, everybody's saying, how you doing? No, we got it. We're okay. We're ready to go. But you know what? The old heart was probably racing. You're probably really upset, and you deserve a huge amount of congratulations for being able to pull that off in a very expeditious way. But one of the ways to do that, one of the ways to make sure that happens, is to make sure that you know where everybody is in any given moment, how they're really doing. Because when people are in hot mode and you're in cold mode, that's not good. That's not a good way to communicate. They've got issues that are emotional and moving them fast, and their heartbeats are racing, and you're in a cold mood where you step back looking at things coolly. It's good to check in and see where you are. Doesn't mean you have to shift. You just have to know and understand each other a little bit. There's a wonderful thing about the brain that I love. Glucose is like the gas in the brain. Okay, glucose is gas in the brain, and we use glucose up all the time. It's like, and then right, and by the end of the day, by the end of each day, you've burned quite a bit of glucose, unless you replace it, unless you know how to do that. But the fact that you think of it as fuel. All right. One of the things that they've discovered, and I roared when I found this out, they studied a group of judges, and they found out that if you were to apply, Jan, if you're ever in jail, if you ever go to jail, Jan, here's what you do. And you want to get out, you want parole. Okay. Go to, somebody else is in jail. Oh, we won't talk about that. But if you want to get out, don't go talk to the judge. They found out if you went to a judge after 10:30 in the morning, before noon, and after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or all Friday afternoon, if you go, the same two people, if two people went in with the same crime and the same background and the same history, if they go in at that time, they will get refused. If they go in at the other times, they've got a 70 to 75% chance of getting released. And it's because the glucose in the judge's brain is down. The glucose goes, the judge goes, I can't think about that right now. Better to keep him in and we know what he's doing than let him out and see what he can do. No, so they just make a decision on a hot thinking because their glucose is down. You got to check and see where your glucose is any given day. I have a rule now. I don't want meetings on Friday afternoons. I hate them. I don't want to do them. Now, you can have a meeting where you're going to sit around and talk, decide where you're going to go drinking maybe, but to actually have a meeting where you're going to make an important decision, don't do it. Don't do it. All right. Now, right now, and I was thinking about this, you're spread all across the world. I was trying to figure out where you're all from, but we've got people from all over the place here. And you know, Paris and Cape Town and Beirut and Amsterdam and Madrid, everybody's glucose is at a different level. Right? That's amazing. And yet you all have conversations. So whenever you're having a conversation, wonder where the other person's glucose is. Now, here's another thing. Focus your attention on your intention. The things that you're doing, that you're actually focused on, hot thinking can sometimes cause you to lose focus on that important intention that you have. The intentions that you folks have, and I'm going to go over it again: diversity and inclusion, paying attention to climate risk, pandemic, you know, how to fit into the banking world. All of those things, those are your intentions. And you need to constantly remind yourself, no matter how your glucose is doing, that that's what we're working on. Those are the important things that we're trying to do. And when you stay in that intention all the time, wake up in the morning and go, I'm just going to make a little list of intentions, because during crisis, during times of stress, like we're all in right now, it's very easy to lose focus on our intention and to get caught up in the minutia that's happening every day. And that gets us in big trouble. Our thoughts have power, for better or worse. I love that. I love that phrase, because we don't wake up and say, I think I want to think stupid things today. Okay. But guess what? We do it all the time. I do it in inordinate amounts, so I'm willing to confess it. But our thoughts have power. If we're thinking it, there's a wonderful book written by a Canadian, or I should have had the title here right now, but it's called Belief. All right. It's called Belief. And it's written by a Canadian psychologist from Vancouver. And he says, we believe a whole lot of things, and we mistake that belief for knowledge. And again, actuaries, you're a lot more careful than the everyday human being about that, because you make sure that is it real knowledge, or is it just a thought? Is it just a feeling? Or is it a real solid based understanding of what's really going on? And our thoughts have power, for better or worse. We got to know whether we're just thinking it or whether we actually know it. I just love this quote. There are two ways to live your life. One is though nothing is a miracle, and the other is though everything is a miracle. And that was allegedly said by Einstein. And somebody said, no, on the internet, they were arguing whether he ever said it. I don't care if he ever said it. I like Einstein and I like the saying, so I'm going to put them together. But I believe everything's a bit of a miracle. And that doesn't mean we don't have control about it. That doesn't mean we can't work with it. That doesn't mean we can't participate in it. In fact, I think that makes the miracle even more powerful, because don't forget, how you see the world determines how you feel and think. How you feel and think determines how you act, and how you act determines your destiny. And we need to reframe. That's what I was saying about actuaries. You have an absolute talent for reframing. Don't look at it like this. Look at it like this. Don't look at it like this. Look at it like this. You know, it all depends on what's necessary in any given moment, because that reframing absolutely affects how you think and how you feel about any given thing going up. I want to mention something about seeing. Okay, and once you see something and then you see it a different way, you can't ever. I always say, once you see something, you can't unsee it. Is a way of saying it. I was traveling from Halifax to Toronto, and I was going to do a gig in Ontario, and I arrived at the airport, and I got out and I got in the car and I drove quickly out of the airport, and I saw this sign. Now I want to just take a look at the sign. All roads lead to Brampton. And I thought, oh no, I'm not going to Brampton. All right. And I thought, I hope some roads lead out of Brampton, because I don't want to go to Brampton. I don't have anything against Brampton, but that's not where I was going. You see what I'm saying? Now, what's interesting about this is that's not what the sign means, but that's what the sign says. And a lot of things in our lives are not very well communicated, if you know what I mean, right? All roads lead to Brampton. I'll give you another one. Remember when we used to fly everywhere? Remember? I was flying flying all over the place, and so whatever happened at the airport mattered to me, right? Weather reports, you know, airplanes or whatever. I cared, and I'd listen to the news, and they'd mention airport, and I would perk right up. And one day in 2015, there was an announcement on CBC and on CTV, the two major networks, that there had been a hard landing at the Halifax airport. A hard landing at the Halifax airport, and I thought, that's weird. I've never heard that announcement before. That's very strange. A hard landing. My goodness. There's a picture of the hard landing at Halifax Airport. Now, I'm sorry, but I think if the nose cone comes off and the engine is strewn down the runway behind you, That's not called a hard landing. That is called a crash. Okay, you know what I'm saying? A hard landing is where you spill your drink on the nun sitting next to you. That's a hard landing. This is a freaking crash. And I was in Winnipeg doing an event, and I showed this, and this gentleman came up afterwards, and his eyes were as big as saucers, and he said, I was on that plane. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. I thought I'd re-traumatize him. I said, I'm so sorry. He said, no. He said, thank you for calling it a crash. They kept calling it a hard landing. He said, my wife broke her nose. I think if your spouse breaks their nose, it's called a crash. The point of this is you got to name things for what they really are. We've got to call things truthfully and say what's really going on. Otherwise, we can't make wise decisions at all. And that's the other thing that actuaries do. Actuaries say, let's get our language straight. Let's talk about these things accurately and not whimsically. All right. Here's another one. This is my favorite. Titanic 2, set to sail in 2022 along the same ill-fated route. I'm okay for there. It's the last part. Promising an authentic Titanic experience. Did they not see the movie? Do they not know the story here? I don't want an authentic Titanic experience. I want an unauthentic Titanic experience where the Titanic doesn't sink. My boat actually goes to the dock and lets me off. That's the experience I want. Now, I know that's not what they meant, but that's what the advertiser was saying. And I say, we've got to pay attention to our language. Our experiences create us, past, present, and future. It's critical that we understand exactly where we are at any given moment. And our past affects our present affects our future, as you well know. And many of us, many people in the world are caught either in the present or in the past. Oh, I wish it was like that. Why can't it be like, why, remember the good old days when? No, we're always moving out of the past through our future and into through our present and into our future. And we have to keep that always at the forefront of our work. Otherwise, people get locked in the wrong space. And it takes rumination. I love this. It's just a picture of a cow, but I love it because it reminds me of the word rumination. And when you ruminate, you chew fresh grass. The cow chews fresh grass and chews its cud, which is what we do. We choose our present experience, and we also bring to it our past experience, and we look at what's ahead. And anyway, it's just a cute picture of a cow. This was a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. That's the interrelated structure of reality. And I love that because, again, actuaries understand that interrelated structure of reality. We're all in this together. We're all moving through it together, and we have to be very careful. I'm gonna move kind of fast now because I want to get to a story at the end. But there's a thing called mirror neurons, and I love mirror neurons because what they are basically is when you're with somebody and you're sitting with them, talking with them, they are reflecting in their brain. You're reflecting in their brain, your brain, what they're reflecting in their brain. All right. And it was invented. They found it in Italy. There was a group of Italian researchers who were doing some research, and they were working with macaque monkeys, and they had them all wired up. And they found out whenever they opened a peanut, right, this part and this part would light up. Boop, 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 boop. One day they came into work and they looked on the screen and the brain was lit up, boop, boop. But they looked at the monkey and the monkey was sitting like this. And they said, oh, there's something wrong. What's going on? And they said, well, what are we going to do? And they thought they were going to have to throw their research out and everything. They were so excited, so upset. And one of the researchers said, no, look at what he's doing. Look what he's doing, right? And they looked over and the monkey was sitting like this and he was watching somebody opening a peanut. And they realized the same part of his brain lit up when he was watching somebody opening a peanut as when he was opening one himself. And they called them mirror neurons. Damasio called them mirror neurons. And they found out it's not just when you see somebody doing an action, but actually 20% of our brain is involved with mirror neuronal activity. And we pick up emotions from other people, even over the screen, even over what's happening right now. We need to make sure that we connect with one another and we don't lock ourselves off during times of crisis. It becomes critical that we break our bubbles. We all live in a bit of a bubble, and we need to break that bubble open and break ourselves open to the new experiences and the new things that are going on. That's how we're going to build community. There's a thing called evenly hovering attention that I love. And it turns out that Rubin did experiments with this, and evenly hovering attention is just what it sounds like. It's just listening to somebody, just sitting quietly, not judging, not saying yes or no or agreeing or being pleasant even, just giving them evenly hovering attention. It results in increased intelligence, improved performance, improved decision-making, higher moral reasoning, and reduced stress-related disorders. And are you ready for this? That happens both in the person listening and in the person being listened to. What an incredible connection we make. And that's why we have to be careful, because of mirror neurons and because of that power of listening. We have to be careful about toxic and tonic people. Toxic people are just exactly what they sound like. They're negative, they're doer, they're, oh, I don't want to do it. That's not how you do things around here. Tonic people, they're exactly the opposite. They're open. Let's try it. Let's see if we can make it work. I love what Jan was saying. We can work together to create this new future that we're doing. That's a very tonic thing to say. And we need to stay as tonic as possible, because any given day we can be toxic or tonic depending on how our glucose is doing. But we need to make sure that we stay tonic for others. What we feed our heads is just as important as what we feed our bodies. And when we're young, we're the center of the world. As we grow older, we expand our cave, and it has critical impact, the people around us, and then our tribe and our community, and finally our culture and our world. All of it feeds us, but we have to be careful that we're getting fed the right information and the right stuff. My father used to say, take it from whence it came, which meant don't listen to stupid people. My father was a minister, and he never would call people stupid, but that's basically what he was saying. Was he'd say, who said that? Oh, take it from whence it came, which means she's an idiot, ignore her, But so I keep that as kind of a mantra for my time. The unexamined life is not worth living. There's a sentence by Socrates, and I always say the unrecreated life is not worth living. It's not just a question of looking at it; it's a question of doing something with it and making it malleable. I want to flip right through to this story right here. I worked with CIBC, which is the Canadian Institute for Breast Cancer, and they had a run for the cure, and it was I didn't actually run. I would just shoot the gun, and they would run, and then they would come back, and I would welcome them back. I was hosted it, you see. And there was a lady, and she said to me one day, she walked up to the podium, and she said, "Hello, Bill Carr." And I said, "Hello." And she said, "Can I tell you a story?" I said, "I love stories. Please tell me a story." And she said, "Well," she said, here it is. She said, I'm a survivor." And she had on one of the bright pink shirts that they gave to the survivors. And I said, "I can see that. Congratulations." And she said, "That's not the story." She said, "This is my daughter. I want to tell you the story because I want my daughter to hear it." I said, "Okay." So I said, "What's the story?" She said, "I'm 3 or 4 years ago now, I was diagnosed with this horrible disease." And she said, "I really didn't know what to do." She said, "I went into the deepest, darkest depression you can imagine. And for 3 days, I stayed in my room with my door locked, and I cried and I cried and I cried in the dark." And she said, at the end of the 3 days, there was a knock at the door, and it was my husband. And I opened it, and there was my husband standing there with my sister. Now, that doesn't sound like much, she said, but I hadn't seen my sister in 10 years. We had a fight, and I don't even remember what it was about, but we'd had a fight. And now my sister was standing there with tears in her eyes. And she said, "I've dropped everything. I'm here. I'm going to help you go through this. You're not alone." And she said, there in the middle of my hell, I was being blessed. And I said, "That's a beautiful story." She said, "That's not the end of the story." I said, "Keep going." She said, "I went out in the living room, we sat down, and there were Pyrex dishes, all over the table with people's names on them." And she said, "I looked up and said, 'What's that?' And my husband said, 'Well, the neighbors found out you weren't well, and they wanted to make sure you're okay, so they sent you some food.'" I said, "That's beautiful." And she said, No, that's not the beautiful part." She said, "What's amazing about this," she said, "is that I've been working really hard for the last 7 years. We had only lived there for 7 years, and I barely knew who my neighbors were. I couldn't name them all by name, come hell or high water. And there they were in the middle of my hell, blessing me." And I said, "That's a beautiful story." She said, "That's not the end of the story." I said, "Keep going." She said, "I went to work, and I wasn't going to go to work. I went." And she said, "I was walking up to the office, and all of a sudden this woman came running out the door. She threw her arms around me, gave me the biggest hug, and she said, 'Look, we know what's going on. We're with you. We've got your back. Whatever you need, any support you need, we're going to give it to you. You're not alone with this horrible disease.'" And she said, there in the middle of my hell, I was being blessed. And she said, "But the best part of that story, Bill," she said, "is that I didn't like that woman. And I didn't think she liked me. And yet here she was. She had my back, and we became very close friends." She said, "I went home, and I went in to see my daughter, and I looked at my daughter, and I suddenly realized that I'd been working so hard. I was missing the fact that my daughter was becoming a young woman. And I had missed it. And ever since then, I've been concentrating really hard to make sure that we stay connected. And we really are, aren't we?" She said. And the girl goes, "Ah," and they both laughed. And she said, "I would have missed it. I would have missed it." She said, "In the middle of my hell, there was a blessing that I would have missed." And she said, "I want you to know, Bill," she said, I wouldn't wish this disease on anyone. Don't misunderstand me. But she said, it blessed my life in ways I would never have seen had I not had to deal with it. I think the pandemic is the same thing for us as a world. I think this is a chance for us to find the hell blessings, to find out how we can reconnect, how we can get the big picture, how we can see things in extraordinary ways and make a radical difference in our world. What you're doing and what you're trying to do is really important. And that idea, again, around diversity, climate risk, the pandemic, we need to see those in new ways. If we don't see them in new ways, we won't handle them properly. We won't deal with them in ways that need to be. The diversity and inclusion is critical because we need everybody's mind. We need everybody's experience. We need everybody's ideas and every culture. And as for banking, as I said, they're too narrow. They need you. And I looked at data analytics. I can't help you. You're on your own. I'm an actor. I don't know about that stuff, but I do know that what you're doing is going in the right direction. That's my book. It's also on audio. If you want to listen to my voice ever again, you can get it on Audible. That's my Twitter handle. If you want to call me anytime or email me and ask me any questions or talk to me about what's going on, I'm more than willing to listen. Now, before I leave you, I believe that what's about to occur, I don't fully understand. I find it radically challenging in a big way. But Roseanne Harris is apparently trapped and needs to escape at some point from wherever it is that she is trapped. And so there's actually a game that you're all going to be playing called the escape game, which to me sounds a lot like Squid Game, and I'm scared. And so I'm going to get out of here because if somebody comes at me with one of those masks and goes, I'm dead and I don't want to die. Thank you all for giving me this opportunity. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day and the rest of your career. Roseanne, you got some wonderful people to work with. Good for you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. So now it's time to release Roseanne, but before we're going to do that, Bill, you really surprised us, and I have to say I've learned a lot of things, but especially what did you learn us? In my conclusion is we need to work on our self-confidence because we can realize a lot in this world with our community, with our skills, with whatever. So this is really something which we need to capture. Thanks a lot. I think I need to hand it over now to Mathieu because he will be leading the whole, what is it, the game experience or whatever. I'm not sure whether it's necessary that you will be successful because I looked her up, but it's all up to you now to get her free.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Jan. And I did want to say a few words, but I'm not, so I'm just going to raise my glass, which is whatever you guys want to call it. But to you, Jan, it's been a tough year. It's been a virtual year. Engagement has been a key staple of your presidency, working new initiatives to try to get people engaged. And when every single day has been bad news, sometimes worse at worst. So I've learned a lot about resiliency from you, Jan, this year. So this is me raising my glass to you. Congratulations on your presidency. It was well done. And I just want to say, by the way, we had a few. I was kind of expecting to have a few like weird elements or like fun facts to talk about Jan during his year, and then we did reach out to a few of his colleagues from the Netherlands, but most of them came with fun facts that weren't necessarily embarrassing. So just before we go, I do have to mention just for the record that from now on, every single time that we have a council that has 2 sessions, presidents are prohibited to go bicycling because Jan broke his face last year when he was starting. His nose, his face and everything, he was full of blood. And he sends me a picture of his face full of blood like 15 minutes before the start of council. Like almost gave me a heart attack. Everybody's freaking out, but he still managed to do it. So as far as I know, the only IAA president that has ever done a council meeting while physically bleeding from the face. So well done, Jan. Not a lot of people could have told that was good, but like, wow, that's definitely a feather in your hat right there. Okay, so Anne, correct me if I'm wrong, but we are going to, oh, here we go. So we are going to have we're gonna have what? And 2 rooms, right? 1 room where
No,
we're gonna have.
No, we're just gonna stay where we are.
There we go. So we have 1 room. There we go. Everybody's in the main room. So because Anne did an amazing little game that we're going to play, and it's going to be a challenge for some of you. I mean, quite frankly, Anne showed us a few of the things, and I tapped out after 3 questions. So I think it's going to be fun. But we need all of you to participate and to try to be able to get poor Rosanne freed from Madrid. So Anne, are you gonna? Here you go. So Jan, of course, being Jan, like he doesn't want to give up his presidency, right? So he locked poor Rosanne in an elevator, and we have thankfully we were able to talk to the staff and have a way to free Rosanne, but it's in a locked box. And there's a lock on it, and we need to be able to free it. So we're going to need all your help to be able to get there.
Mathieu,
Wait.
I have the box with me.
Oh, there we go. So thankfully, we were able to sneak it out of Madrid and not for it to be stolen by the Canadian Border Service Agency, because those guys are really sneaky. So you got to watch out. So Anne has it in her possession, and we need to be able to help Anne get the number. So we need to crack the combination of the lock. So Anne, take it away. We will have a total of 15 questions. So 3 trivia categories, right? So,
we've divided all of the questions into 3 categories. Each question has multiple choice. And then with your answer, what you need to do is just take note of the points that's allocated to your answer. And yes, we only have 1 minute to answer per question. At the end of each category, there's going to be a mathematical question, which I'm sure will be super easy because we have a room full of actuaries. And what you need is a pen and a piece of paper. And of course, we cannot tell if you're cheating or not. So Googling is permitted. So Mathieu, do you want to continue with the questions?
No, people want to hear your voice. They're tired of hearing mine.
Okay, so is everyone ready? How many medalists does the IAA have? So the answer choices are 3, 4, 5, or 6. So just write down, like if you think the answer is 3, just give yourself 1 point and so forth. And we have 1 minute. The medalists? The medalists are volunteers with the IAA that have done, that they were recognized for example, Yves Guérard, there's one. He received one for his all of his work that he did as Secretary General way back when, but I cannot say anymore because then that would be helping you too much. Okay, so moving on. Where was the 1992 International Congress of Actuaries held? In Montreal, Canada, in Brussels, Belgium, in Cape Town, South Africa, or in Helsinki, Finland? So of course, the ICA has been held in each of these locations, but the question right now is we're looking to find out where it was specifically in 1992. I should have put a little bit of music while we wait for the minute. Is anybody Googling? Is anybody on the IAA website? Yes, Mathieu, it's where I call my whoops, my message disappeared. 19 seconds. Oh, Mathieu, I see your note now, where I call my adoptive hometown. 7 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2.
You have to read, Annie. You have to read. Words.
I know. I'm sorry. Okay, next question. What are the IAA's 3 strategic objectives? Inform, advise, and analyze. Influence, assure, and advance. Innovate, assist, and attain. Or impact, assure, and advance. A reminder to write down your points. The points are going to get us to figure out what the combination to the lock is and help Roseanne free herself from this elevator. 30 seconds left. I'm wondering if I should have just given 30 seconds for this one because it's probably one of the easier questions. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next question. What is the ultimate decision body of the IAA? Is it council? Is it the officers? Is it the executive committee? Or is it the strategic planning committee? So which entity of the IAA has the ultimate decision? Oh, no, it's not Anne. I wish it was. Definitely Anne. Thank you, Tanya. 30 seconds. Just to let you know, everyone, if this is if anyone wants to chat along with me, just feel free to unmute yourselves. This is it's a party.
I don't see past
5.
president posted, but that
Pardon
was
me?
I was voting past presidents. I penciled that in for 40.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
40 minutes. Yes. Excellent. Okay, next question. How many sections does the IAA have? 7, 6, 5, or 8? Now, this is the last question to the first category, which is trivia on the IAA. So after this question, we're going to get you guys to do a little bit of math. Who's good in math in this room?
Math 2.
Mathieu with the budget. By the way, Mathieu doesn't have any of the, he saw what the game was about, but I hope he's playing as well because everybody, I think Roseanne needs all the help she can get. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so now add all of the points that you have from questions 1 to 5. And then once you have your answer, the total of those points divided by 4. And then whatever result you have, keep it for later, because that will be the combination of the first number that we need to free Roseanne. So now let's move on to the second category, which is actuarial literature and film trivia. And I'm pretty sure that everyone will need to Google some of these because some are a bit difficult. So which writer uses the character of psychohistorians, which are similar to actuaries in his Foundation trilogy books? Is it Arthur Clarke, Adrian Tchaikovsky, Hugh Howey, or Isaac Asimov? Does anyone know any of these
No.
authors?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Excellent.
If you read the story, you know that they cheated at the end. Models
Some of
didn't
us have
always
even read
work.
the Foundation trilogy books. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Kind of black swan event.
Yes, so the models didn't work and they had to fudge it back on track.
Interesting. Okay. 15 seconds. The comments in the chat are funny. Oops. Okay, that's a timer. Okay. In which of the following horror movies can we find a health insurance executive describing actuarial mathematics? Is it Saw 6 in 2009, Silence of the Lambs in 1991, Rosemary's Baby in 1968, or Eyes Without a Face in 1962?
Oh, gosh.
Now, I see that Ralph is sharing answers in the chat. So if anybody didn't have the answer to the last question, oh, but the points are gone now, so that doesn't really make a difference.
Because someone else shared a wrong answer.
Okay. But see, that's the magic of it, is that if we don't have the right combination, unfortunately, Roseanne will need to spend the holidays in the elevator.
Most likely that'll be the case.
Okay, so 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Question number 8. If anyone here knows Jack Nicholson, he's an American actor. So in what movie did actor Jack Nicholson portray a retiring actuary with a life insurance company? Is it About Schmidt, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which is pretty much me every day these days, The Shining, or A Few Good Men? I was flying over the cuckoo's nest last week while all our officers and our Monsieur and others were in Madrid. Yay, Tanya.
I also know the actuary that they interviewed to get context for the character.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was, I can't remember who, but somebody was telling me that they had borrowed goodies from his office to use as a back, to use, like you see my bookcases behind me, they borrowed some of this actuary's material for the movie.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, I think it was a copy of Life Contingencies in there.
That was a very depressing movie.
And if you listen to what he said, he wasn't really an actuary.
You know, that happens a lot.
Okay.
Like Margaret. What was the zoology? Zootopia.
Zootopia. They thought it was tax related or something.
Yeah, tax deductions.
Yeah.
Bert J was involved in that movie, Ralph?
Yeah. He was the one whose office they went into.
Wow, yeah, I remember Bert. Okay, next question. In what book does author Pierre Danino write about an actuary who wins a competition as the most average man in France? Les Carnets du Major Thompson, Sonia, les autres et moi, un certain Monsieur Bleu, ou Le Veuf Joyeux? Oh, Rodrigo says he also
I feel like I'm
remembers
in big trouble right now.
And you should have gotten Tanya to read those names out to work on the French.
Tanya,
I was going to comment.
All right, Christian, you're getting me back, aren't you? Okay. Les Carnets du Major Thompson.
Nice.
The Langelier.
Langelier. But I was going to say, and you really did like you. There's different ways. Like Sonia is one of those like dangerous words for Francophone in Quebec because it could be Sonia, Sonia. It could be like, depends on what region you're, and you did very good. Very nice.
Absolutely sounded the same to me.
Very nice.
Okay.
Sonia. Oh.
I'd be the type to go, hey, Sonia.
Hey, Roseanne, at least that elevator is glass so you can see out.
I hope there's something with Fight Club in here.
I'm sorry, what was that? With what?
With Fight Club. I do believe there was a reference in Fight Club about actuaries, wasn't there?
Oh, whoops. Sorry.
I do not know this one.
No.
Okay, anyway.
I'm sorry, I think I advanced to the next slide very quickly, so hold on. Okay, next question. Which of the following manga books features a malevolent actuary who uses statistics to determine scenarios that will most likely result in the death of particular people? Made in Abyss, Hunter times Hunter, Naruto, Kurosaki Corpse Delivery Service.
Must be fiction if it's a malevolent actuary.
Malevolent. Did I pronounce that correctly, Roseanne?
Yeah, you
When
did.
I said, yeah, okay. I
Malevolent.
was a little bit like Tanya when she has to read French. I was a little bit scared by that word.
Just a hint on this one, like when there's like multiple answers and one is much longer than all the other ones. Hint.
Hint, right? Yes, Mathieu. Okay. Almost 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, now it's time to figure out what the second combination number is. So add up your questions 6 to 10, but this time you're going to divide the sum by 2. And then write the result down of whatever you come up with. And that should
What if my sum is not an even number?
Oh!
Then you must have a wrong answer.
What one would assume.
An even number has a half. So you will have a decimal. No problem.
Yeah,
Maybe
just round up to the next number.
you'll have to round up. That's too funny. I think Roseanne might be in a little bit of trouble here. Okay, last category. We're almost done. The last category is on general trivia. So the first question, which I think is everyone's going to get this one. In which museum can you find the Mona Lisa painting by Leonardo da Vinci?
Very funny.
The question is funny?
Yeah.
Just a warm-up.
Everyone will know. So.
Just a warm-up question, Gabor.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't need to wait a full minute on that one, Anne.
I don't think it's the right and hint.
Okay, let's go to
Not
the
the one
next
with
one.
the longest name.
Okay, so take note of your point and I will go to the next question. This one too. Where is the famous world landmark, the Brandenburg Gate, located?
Marathon.
Okay, I think we're all doing better in this category.
We've had a big event, I guess, near that gate.
Yeah.
Yes, we
some
did.
time ago.
I tried to finish strongly on the marathon and limped through the Brandenburg Gate as a result.
Oh no.
That's the problem with opening your stride towards the end of a marathon.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Where were the year 2000 Summer Olympics held? London, England, Athens, Greece, Beijing, China, or Sydney, Australia? Now, similar to the previous question, so obviously the Summer Olympics were held in each of these occasions. but we just need to figure out which ones were in the year 2000.
Our ICA is like the Actuarial Olympics.
Shall we move on, or is anybody Googling?
That's an easy question.
Okay, let's go to the next question. Can you find the intruder who is not a famous opera singer? Placido Domingo, I may not pronounce this correctly, Joaquin Sabina, Luciano Pavarotti, or Maria Callas?
I think it's Joaquin.
Carla, did I
ask Juan to pronounce it? Joaquin.
Yeah, Juan or Carla? Is it Joaquin?
Joaquin Sabina.
Joaquin Sabina.
I did not, no one asked me to pronounce that.
Oh, Tanya, please, can you pronounce it? Okay, just a few more seconds. And we're going on to our very last questions, and then we'll find out if we have a 2022 president or not.
Not looking good, Roseanne.
So I wonder if something like this does happen on Mathieu, would we bring Tanya back, or would we keep Jan for another year? What would happen?
I mean, Tanya is much better looking than Jan, that's for sure.
I did not know that that was on the line. I would have adjusted my strategy.
How about promoting Michelin?
Oh, we could, yeah. Okay, so we'll go to the last question, and then we'll see how good we are. Which type of literature, this is easy, partakes the nature of speech, songs, and rhymes? Poems, drama, fiction, or thriller? Okay, so I think I'm going to finish this one earlier because it's quite easy. Okay, so did we get it? So now what you need to do is add your points for questions 11 to 15 and then divide it by 4 again. So if you have an uneven number, we are really in trouble.
I think Roseanne's in trouble.
I would say I have 2 out of 3 uneven numbers, so she's toast.
Okay, so I'm going to run a poll right now, and then just write your combinations in there, all right?
Ooh.
So you should have 3 numbers.
Is everyone going to see your answers?
Just when I share it after when I share the poll. Roseanne, would you like to say a few words? Are you nervous? Are you confident that we'll get you out? How do you feel right now?
I feel kind of hopeful, I suppose, and I'm hoping that there hasn't been a whole lot of hot thinking, that there's been some cold thinking that Bill Carr said we're renowned for in terms of getting these answers and also doing the maths. I mean, it's not just about getting the answers right, it's also about being able to add and divide, which is also a worry.
Are you comfortable with random?
Oh, we're
Diane,
actually always
I think you can
comfortable
roll
with
on
random.
again.
Yeah, I look like I have some trouble with my window. It's shut down.
You can put it in the chat if you want.
So is this a competition or it's a joint effort to free up Roseanne?
It's a joint effort.
Okay, so why didn't we share then the results?
Oh, I'm just waiting. I only have, okay, well, not everybody wrote something in there, so I have 20 people. So I'm going to share them now.
Yeah, go with that.
Okay, so can you see the
No.
Oh, I guess I can't that's
I just
okay.
see my answers. I don't see everybody's answers.
Okay, well, I think it's because it's not it's a quiz more than a poll, so that's why the answers are not all popping up. So
We trust you,
we
and
have
just
here?
let us know if Roseanne is out of knot.
Okay, this is hilarious. I do not have one single correct combination.
Oh my God.
Come on, what is the correct one now?
Maybe we should send a care package to Roseanne.
Maybe.
Oh, Falco
In the
got
form
it
of a
right,
key.
I think. Okay, so I'm looking in the chat and here's the box. So I'm going to go with what Falco put. So here it is. So he put 13. And then he put 31 and Mathieu has the same as Falco. All right. Can I have a drum roll? It's open. So just to show
Sorry,
you-
Jan.
So Jan, I'm sorry, but you will have to let go of your presidency for next year.
Yeah, but at least what Roseanne mentioned, I will still have the possibility to operate as a kind of mentor to Roseanne.
Exactly.
I don't know what exactly that will mean, but she will be the boss of us.
It means
we
you
are
get the
looking
hard
forward.
questions, Jan.
Oh, okay.
You can delegate.
Yeah, as president, you can delegate, certainly. So thank you very much, Anne, for this this wonderful
Thank
game.
you, Anne.
And this is the first time we are doing this, and in a virtual environment, it is great to see how what is it, innovative you were in this last year with all kind of suggestions. Let's do this and let's do that. The only thing we had to do as officers is simply saying, yes, do that, not more than that. So we love these kind of events. So please continue that. And but next time you can ask Roseanne, of course, whether you will get her approval for all these kind of nice events. So great stuff.
Perhaps Roseanne will want to a little bit of revenge and lock you up in Brussels somewhere.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
I hope that I get the opportunity to be together with you, and then we can play another game. It's really great to do this, and the prep that you've put into this is really amazing. I hope you're going to send us all the answers so we can see.
Yes. Yes, I will send the answers to everyone.
The thing was very interesting, and the story, I read that as a kid, and to me, it's the epitome of actuarial, because they had a model that worked until they had a black swan event, and then it didn't work. So it's one lesson for actuaries.
And Ralph, did you know all the answers by heart, by the way?
I missed on one. I guessed wrong on the one of the second quiz. And I also had to look at the number of, I guessed right the number of medalers, but I had to.
What were the number of medalists?
Yes.
5, I think.
Five.
Yeah, we're coming to an end to this this festivity. It's not that you need to leave immediately, but before we close down, I certainly would like to thank Tonya as well, because let's say in the script itself, we didn't define a specific place for Tonya, but Tonya is rolling off as officer. And while we are, let's say, celebrating our last year of IAA, and she's already laughing because I used the word period in wrong ways, but that is called about that is the example of lost in translation. I'm not going to explain furthermore, but Tonya, you contributed a lot, and I've learned personally a lot of you, and you were really inspiring for me. So that is something I would like to say to you. I've already complimented you many times at many occasions. But certainly in this occasion, at the last official meeting we are going to have in 2021, I would like to say a big thank you to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank
And
you.
if you would like to say something, some extra lessons for us, because for Roseanne as the new president, for instance.
Oh, I just embrace it. It will go very fast, as we all know, who has been president out of an association. So, but I would pick up on everything Jan did to further the engagement virtually and in person as much as you can. And you'll have a blast, and we have the best volunteers of any association. Everyone is so passionate and just is so interesting. And it's been such an honor for me. I'm sad to leave the officers team, but I am happy to not have so many 8 a.m. and 7 a.m. calls. So I'll sleep better, but it's been a wonderful time. And thank you, Jan, for your support, and Roseanne. All of the secretariat has been amazing. We have great support. So thanks, everybody.
We really do.
Thank you, Tanya.
Happy holidays. I'm so glad you're free, Roseanne.
Me too.
They opened the club yet? The exercise room yet?
Yeah, you have a different background now, Roseanne. So if you would like to stay on for another chat among us for some networking or whatever, you can do so. So it's all up to you. You can have another drink if you want, and I simply want to thank you all for participating in this event. And we, like we've done so last year, we created all kind of new events because we're under pressure, let's call it that way, and we will continue to do so in the next year. So thank you all. Happy holidays, and please join us if you would like to have another chat. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Andrea's there. We have somebody from New Zealand. Andrea, I didn't see her. Oh, she's gone.
But by the way, I was expecting, let's say, all kind of actuary jokes from Bill, but he didn't do so.
I was actually expecting him to make a. I was expecting him to make fun of you're asking someone to describe her period, but that definitely didn't make the cut. So.
Actually, that would be a good study to test what various actuarial jokes are and to see what translate across borders.
Yeah.
My favorite is the one on the extroverted actuary.
Yeah.
How do you tell if an actuary is extroverted? Your shoes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I rather like the actuary of if you ask an actuary what is one-on-one, And then he says, "What do you want to have it as what do you prefer as an outcome?" So
I'm more of the long-winded version of that. The CEO is trying to get a new right-hand man, and he invites 3 candidates in, and first he has the accountant, and the accountant just sits down, and after some pleasantries, the CEO asks the accountant, how much is 1 + 1? And the accountant pulls out the ledger, and one of the debits, one of the credits, one of the debits, one of the credits, two, it balances, it says 2. And the response is much, we'll be in touch. Then he brings in the MBA second and asks them how much is 1 + 1. And MBA pulls out his financial calculator and puts it in. He's back and says 2. And thank you very much. We'll be in touch. And then he brings in the actuary. How much is 1 + 1? And the actuary looks around, closes the door, pulls the drapes, goes to the ear of the CEO and says, "How much do you want it to be?"
yeah. Exactly. That's but I couldn't describe it as good as you just did, Rolf, because that is the way you need to what is it?
But maybe you all know the 3 kinds of actuaries: the introverted and the extroverted.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say those who can count and those who can't.
Did you ever hear about the girl, the young lady that went to the doctor's office? The doctor said, "You got a week to live." So she said, "Okay, I'm going to go marry an actuary." And he goes, "Why would you marry an actuary?" She goes, "Because a week with an actuary is like a lifetime with any other man."
Oh, I like that one.
That's very sad. Terry, I see all the roads lead to you. Terry's actually in Brampton, where all the roads lead.
I was going to mention the bill. I am in Brampton.
Yeah, I saw you wrote that in chat. Oh, I'm from Brampton.
It's actually it's the 9th biggest city in Canada, just by the airport. So that's why when he landed at the airport, he saw that sign.
Wow.
Well, my favorite is when company leaders travel in a car. You probably all know that story. CEO at the driving seat and with the sales manager and the actuary in the back seat.
I know one, but it's of an underwriter, and hopefully everyone will appreciate this one. It has a little bit of a gruesome mix to it. This guy, was at the bar, and sitting next to him is an underwriter, and it's the 11 o'clock news. They show someone who's on the edge of a building, threatening to jump, and then they make the commercial news, and the guy says, "I'll bet you $10 that he does jump," and the underwriter next to him said, I'll take that bet." They come back from the TV, comes back from the commercial, and then they show the guy jumping. And the guy at the bar says, I can't take the money from you. Gee, I saw the 6 o'clock news. I knew it was going to happen. And the underwriter says, "Well, yeah, I saw the 6 o'clock news too, but I didn't think you'd do it again."
Okay, good one.
Yeah, underwriter joke.
By the way, I think Edward Norton was actually, it was implied that he was an underwriter in Fight Club. That's why I mentioned it earlier.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of movies lately. I mean, back then, but also lately that implicate actuaries. It's a good thing.
Sorry, George.
It's a good thing they don't depict us as mass murderers or psychopaths.
Well, the movie about Smith wasn't exactly a complimentary.
It was awful.
I
mean, it just made
Portrayal.
Like no.
What was that?
It just made being an actuary look just horrible.
It also put you off motorhomes and road trips and just about everything.
Yeah. But you know what, though? If we play the other game, name one thing that you've never done before in your life. As sad as it is, I've never seen that movie.
Really?
Oh,
I haven't
no,
seen it
that's
yet.
not sad. That's not sad, Anne.
Every actuary who has to go to the FAC, which is the Society of Actuaries graduation ceremony, has, well, at least in the past, they had to see it.
See which
I'm not
one?
sure if they still do. Sorry, that's not about Smith. It's the other one,
The
isn't it?
$1
Million Dollar Baby. That's it. Yeah, or
Terrence,
whatever.
I made my husband watch that because I saw it at my FAC and I
I did too. Yeah.
And I was like, you have to see this movie. And he was like, that's not really that good of a movie. Like, it just goes. But we found it on YouTube or something. So we were able to watch it where someone like illegally recorded it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite actors of all time. James Woods is in that movie. He plays the actuary. So
It's always, what's that saying? Is I'll have the pecan pie. That's like.
all actuaries eat pecan pie. Yeah, no, I know.
Is that back in the 70s? Is the one?
Yeah, there was a lot of
70s or 80s. Yeah, it's a true story. It actually happened. It did happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a mainframe and marijuana and pecan pie, and it's very interesting. Yeah, but it's not as fun for a non-actuary. Just
There's a really nice,
A non-actuary married to an actuary.
Could we, agree about a kind of initiative that we have a goal to create a new movie about an actuary as a kind of marketing measure or whatever. So
okay.
Apparently, when the movie about Schmidt was being made, they initially wanted to have a lawyer. But I guess they ran into some legal problems, and that's when they chose an actuary instead.
Well,
I guess the actuaries figured bad publicity beats no publicity.
Yeah, what do you think? How many Oscars would it win? A movie which we create on the actuary.
It depends on. So
might be a box office hit.
We just learned that we need to work on our self-confidence because Bill mentioned to us how much we have at skill sets, knowledge, and whatever. So why not? It would be perfect marketing.
I feel self-confident without playing in a movie, so I don't need that. But sure. you may have other aspirations in your life.
Gabor,
I amaze it.
You gave us an inspiration for what our movie should be when you produced your T-shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, I'm not at home, so I couldn't get the T-shirt. But when Anne showed the pictures, I thought if I had that T-shirt with me, I would have put it on. But unfortunately, I'm not at home right now.
But we increased the budget for marketing, didn't we, Mathieu?
We should be producing Gabor's T-shirt.
Yeah.
So we all get a shirt, Mathieu?
No, we all got a mask. So that's COVID, guys. We got a mask. That's all we got. It's done. Although I'm curious now, because now that you guys are here, I have 3 things here. Let me know which one makes you think about Anne the most. Okay. I got a LCBO gift card, which is the Liquor Company Board of Ontario. So that's booze. Okay. I got Amazon, which is Amazon. And I got Starbucks, which makes you think more about Anne.
I know that one.
George.
Starbucks.
I've seen her post wines on her Facebook account, so.
Anne likes gin.
Yeah, a day.
And wine.
And wine.
They're just things that make everything better. And when you're moving and meeting with about 48 hours from one country to the next, you finish that off with a nice glass of wine or 2. I even had my boss's permission to do so. Mathieu?
Oh yeah, indeed. I do have to say, like affordability of Spain, like really made like a lot of that cava very affordable. Like that was a good switch good cava, affordable, very positive. I actually bought some for the holidays now. So there we go.
Well, that was a good thing about being in person, being able to share a glass of cava.
Oh yeah, and just relaxing and chatting. It was so nice.
Yeah,
it was so
great.
nice.
No, it really made us realize how much we missed that.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we will see everyone in Brussels next year.
How confident are we? If we're listening to what Bill was saying, how confident are we that we will get to see each other in Brussels?
75%.
It depends on who wants to see whom, because we made it in Spain. We simply make define it as an experimental visit again, and then we will see then who's going to visit whom. But, we certainly will do something in Brussels.
I'm sure, yes. Personally, I've been hiding behind my Zoom camera for 2 years now at the meetings. Right, I'm never on there because I'm always working the back end of everything. So I am very much looking forward to seeing everyone in person again. And if we can't have a little elbow.
Christian was in Madrid, so certainly now it's time for you to attend one of those meetings. So.
Yeah, it was a fight between me and Anne who was going to go to Madrid.
And you won.
You took her out with one punch, right?
Actually, I've been teasing Mathieu ever since that he just didn't want me to go, and he picked Chris over me. I'm trying to make him feel bad before the holidays, and he just laughs at me.
Yeah, you get no pity for that one, Anne. Like no pity whatsoever.
The only thing is, Anne, you got to be in the time zone. You just didn't get to be in the place.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've actually, do you know what? It's been like I wasn't even there, and it's like a week later, and I'm still up at 1 a.m.
You're still jet lagged.
I'm still jet lagged, and I didn't go anywhere.
Well, everyone, it's late with me. I'm gonna have to jump off because I've got a road trip tomorrow.
Oh, road trip! Yeah. Where are you going?
I'm going on an escape, an adventure.
Into an elevator or what?
No, away from an elevator.
Away, okay. Thanks God you escaped. So
my escape.
Have fun, Roseanne. I gotta go pick up the kids, guys.
Everyone.
I gotta bail out as well.
See you soon.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Happy holidays.
Happy holiday.
Bye. Bye.